On January 10th, 2016, David Bowie passed away at the age of 69 after an 18-month battle with cancer. David Bowie was one of my heroes. He was just a constant source of inspiration and motivation to me. He was my favorite musician and just one of my favorite people, and it's really difficult to film this, honestly. The reason I bring it up, though, is because this week I was planning to review both The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, but because of this event, I have decided to postpone those reviews until a time I feel is right. Now, the reason I'm postponing the Dark Crystal review is because I feel you really can't have one without the other, especially in this history format I'm doing. They both just work together. So that's why they're both being delayed. However, if you have never seen Labyrinth, I highly recommend you do. It's one of my favorite movies. The music is great. David Bowie is fantastic as Jareth the Goblin King. I want to talk more about David Bowie, and I plan to, but right now I just want to explain the situation. I just can't believe he's gone. I don't think I'll ever be able to accept that. He seemed so invincible. If you've never listened to his music, please, I urge you to go out and listen to it. Embrace what he gave us during his time here. He will forever be missed, but his impact he had on the world will never be forgotten. Thank you, Starman. Now, on with the show. Hello everyone, I'm Joshua Gillespie and welcome back to Muppetational New Year 2016. Today I will be looking at two TV pilots developed by Jim Henson in the mid and late 60s that, even though they both failed, they both had importance in the history of Jim Henson. Now I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I am not looking at these in chronological order, but instead in the order of importance, starting with The Wizard of Id. The Wizard of Id is a comic strip that was created by Brant Parker and Johnny Hart in 1964. In March of 1969, Jim Henson was asked to shoot a short pilot based on the comic strip with puppets built by Don Saleen, and it features 3 characters from the comic strip. So, what's the story in our rather short pilot? Well, the pilot is set up like a comic strip, with several different situations all being split up by one big joke.
Signify by saying aye. So far, it's unanimous.
And I just have to say, the ending is perfect.
Yes, sir, it's a standard Muppet finale. If you don't know how to end it, go out with a...
Now, because the pilot is so short, I don't really see a reason to say what I liked and what I disliked. So instead, I'm just going to explain why the pilot failed. And the reason is, they decided not to do it. The creators of the comic strip were just like, nah. So, that's why it didn't work out. However, this pilot is still very important in Jim Henson's history. This was the first time he created puppets based on already licensed characters, which is something he would continue to do for things like Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, and the one I think we're all thinking about, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. These puppets are still considered the greatest movie versions of the Turtles, and I think it's one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. So, even though what started as a failed comic strip-based pilot later ended up one of the coolest movies of the 90s, so pretty awesome. Now, the second pilot is The Land of Tinkerdee. Not Tales from the Tinkerdee, that's a different thing that I already talked about. Actually, go on YouTube and type in Tale of the Tinkerdee. Oh yeah, right up there. The Land of Tinkerdee was a pilot for what was going to be a daily children's program, and it was done in 1964, 2 years after Tales of the Tinkerdee. Unlike Tales of the Tinkerdee, this one is very simple. Now let me go ahead and explain. I don't have access to the full pilot, just what the Jim Henson Company has uploaded on YouTube. Thank you for allowing me to use it. Please don't take down this video. So, yeah. Here's the story. The story is about a tinkerer and his talking dog Rufus being requested by the king to help repair his watch. So the tinkerer sends Rufus out to go get some oil, and King Gosh Posh comes in, gives him the watch. Rufus comes back in, touches the watch. Rufus comes back in, touches the King Gosh Posh comes in, gives him the watch. Rufus comes back, touches the watch breaks, and then Rufus says, "Oh, I can repair it. After all, I'm a watchdog." And the credits roll. That's it. Again, because this pilot is so short, I'm not going to go into what I like and what I dislike, though I can kind of see the problem being it's just a little too simple. There's only one set, and the characters from Tales of the Tinkerdee, they just kind of come in. However, I do think there is a way that this could have worked out. You still keep the Tinkerer and his dog, and you cut back to them, maybe have a scene with them in the beginning, a scene with them at the end, maybe cut back to them throughout. But the main focus is on the magical world and what happens there, and maybe what happens there also somewhat relates to what's happening with the Tinkerer and the dog. And then at some point, the characters from the magical world can interact with the Tinkerer and his dog. Where have I heard this before? Oh yeah. Fraggle Rock. Think about it. You've got the Tinkerer, Doc, and his dog Sprocket, who doesn't talk. You've got a magical world. So yeah, that's why this is so important. Without Land of Tinkerdee, we wouldn't have the basis for Fraggle Rock. That's the lesson to take from these two pilots is, even though something may fail, don't give up on it. To quote Jim Henson's Doodle Dreams, which you should definitely go out and buy, it's a great source of motivation. When you take chances, you're going to fail. That's inevitable. You can either let failure turn you away from your dream, or inspire you to dream bigger. Keep that in mind and never give up. Never be afraid of being weird. And thank you for watching.
I love being a turtle!
Down at Fraggle Rock.